What's up, YouTube? So the other day on stream, I was just kind of going through some of the units in here, talking about like how I would make them viable. So I thought that was a pretty good video idea, so I'm doing it. I'm just gonna title this video like if I were to do balance changes or something. But the first unit I want to look at is Silk. Like, no one uses Silk anymore. She was used like early in the game, but the problem with her is she doesn't do enough in her kit. Immunities everywhere, so this doesn't really do anything. It's just, you know, kind of whatever. Like, she's a decent unit in herself, but she just doesn't do enough now to keep up with what the game's doing, you know? There's a lot of MLs everywhere. There's a lot of really strong 5 stars. And these 4 stars are just kind of getting left in the dust. So the first thing, Silk has great base speed. Her base attack's really good too. Like, her stats are pretty nice, right? But I don't think you would be using Silk as a damager. I think all Silk needs is a strip on her S3. Don't let you soul burn to ignore resistance or anything like that. Just get a single strip into a decreased speed debuff and increasing speed for your allies. I think that's all Silk needs to be kind of usable. That's it. They could do that with a special equipment. They don't even have to like change her. If they just did a special equipment which gave her like effectiveness main, right? I don't think she gets any bonus in here. So yeah, if she got like effectiveness main equipment, because her base speed is already fine, give her a strip on this. You could build her decently fast, pretty easily, and then you could strip immunities with her and use her as another stripper. For those of us that don't have Bizarre, this gives everyone in the game access to a decent strip unit. So I think that's really all she needs, to be honest. I mean, she won't do too much after that. Really, it's just, you know, sniping out targets or whatever, but it's mainly for that nice turn 1. And that's all I would really do to fix Silk. Well, not really fix her, but make her more relevant. Next, I'm going to look at Serato here. He's definitely outshined by his ML counterpart. What's this? 75% chance to stun is just not 100%. And that's what makes this bad. Of course, you could pair with Abyssal, but then you run into the problems of things having immunity, and you have to run a stripper before you use it. I just think stuns are bad. If this ability had something else on it as a failsafe, just in case the stun failed, I think it would be pretty good. Like a 25% CR push, for example. So even if you didn't land a stun on something, you can still gain some kind of advantage out of using this ability. Granted, it's on, you know, a 4-turn cooldown Moled. And then over here, he doesn't gain anything from, like, getting combat readiness. Okay, and, like, damage dealt is increasing the enemy's debuffs. Like, he can't even... You're not really relying on debuffs over here. So they could add, like, a speed decrease to this. I mean, it's ice, right? You can slow things down with ice, so I think a speed debuff might be appropriate here. And then he has some more reliable debuffs to actually hit. I mean, I know he has decreased speed here, but you're going to be using... Like, it's just all wonky, right? So, you have an unreliable chance to hit a stun, and then an unreliable chance to hit decreased speed, but then you get bonus damage on debuffs. I just think his kit is just really underwhelming compared to some of the other 4-star units in the game. If he could chain his abilities together in the same turn, that would be nice. Like, this just increases damage. I don't know how the mods are. I'm not really worried about that. I'm just looking at the kit in itself, and, like, I just don't think he does enough in his... Like, decreased speed is just kind of whatever. And then something has to be debuffed to do this. But there's a lot of cleansers in the game now. And we're about to get another cleanser in the game. So, yeah. He needs something else. His base speed is kind of shit. So, I don't know. A strip in the stun would be cool, but I don't think that really kind of fits with his aesthetic. They just added a defense break on this or something. Just added something to it. Because just 75% chance to stun is just kind of whatever. I mean, stun's a really powerful debuff. Paired with the Abyssal Crown, it's really powerful. But immunity's still a thing. A high resist target's still a thing. It's kind of hard to get your effectiveness. Well, not really. You can get effectiveness to compete with effect resistance. But then, like, him doing more damage over here does nothing if you build a lot of effectiveness on him. So I just think he needs something else added in here. Or some kind of special equipment that adds an extra effect. And maybe gives him some more base speed so he can reliably stun things. Because 104, he's not going to reliably get his stun off ever anyways. So, yeah. It's kind of how I would change him. Maybe give him speed on his special equipment. I don't think... You can't just give every stun unit a 100% chance to stun, because then what's the point of pulling ML Araminta, right? So, I think 75% chance to stun is okay, but maybe coupled with like a CR push and a speed debuff, I feel that's kind of appropriate for an ice mage to do. But, yeah, that's about it. And the same goes for Dominial. I don't really have to go look in Dominial. She does like the same thing with her S3. Like, add something unique to these units. Like, she has her, let's just go look at it real quick. She has her reflect shit, right? This is the same thing. See, this has a chance to decrease combat readiness. And her stun, does her stun go up to 90%? So she's just flat out better than Serato is. Why is Serato so much shittier for no reason? And they're both 4-star ice mages. I think they're even the same Zodiac. No, he's an Aries. Okay. But yeah, I don't know. They just need more. They have the same S1 too. Decreased speed. Like, why are these units so similar and they're two different units? Do something to make them different. Her S3 is objectively better. He probably does a little bit more damage. But you don't want to use either one of those for that. You're using them to take advantage of the stun. People are using her with Spez. And I'm guessing because this is a 90%. But they just kind of left Serato in the dust when they buffed her last time. I still don't think she does enough in her kit. But Serato definitely needs something more. Like, it just doesn't matter what it is, as long as he gets more. Okay, let's go to Cartusia now. I like this dude. I want him to be good. I have him 6-star. He's just not good. And the problem with him, that I've used him, he can't use this enough. He uses this, and then he does nothing until he can use this again. That's his problem. Granted, they gave him this thing, which is, like, if he's on Durandal, this is like a fat CR push, but he has to get hit to use that. Or, in most of the times, he can just get one shot and die anyways. You can't take advantage of this 75% health thing, because you need to get your defense buff up. Like, why would you have a defense buff on an ability that he can't take full advantage of unless he's under 75% health? So you gotta let yourself get hit without your defense buff. That's stupid. Like, I think if they just move this defense buff here, like Fighter Maya, when she gets hit, she just gets a defense buff. Give him this. Like, take it off this and put it over here. That way you can use this at the optimal time to do damage without having to get your defense buff up. Then you can build them slower, build them tankier, and not have to worry about getting your defense buff up before your enemy just pummels you. Because whatever hits you first just gives you defense buff. And then this just doesn't do enough. Like I said, the problem with him is, like, he doesn't do enough when this thing's on cooldown. He just kind of stands there and smacks stuff with this defense break thing. Which, defense break is nice, but I don't know. He needs to take advantage of being able to use this more. Because this ability is really sick. But it doesn't do enough using it once every 4 turns. It just doesn't do enough. So that's what he needs. A special equipment might help with him. His base speed's really low. So maybe a speed... Like, if they're going to leave the defense buff on there, maybe giving him some free speed off of special equipment would be nice. But I would think they would give him health. His base health is really nice. His base defense is really nice. He just doesn't... He can't really take advantage of it. Because you want to build him really fat, but you want him decently fast too. Granted, you don't need him super fast because he gets a free Durandal, and you can stack Durandal on top of this. So you actually get, like, if you're below 25% health, or below 50%, you get 25% CR here, and then 16 from Durandal, so you get a 41 CR push if you're below 50%. Problem is, when you're below 50%, generally you're just gonna fucking die anyways. So, yeah, I just don't think it's good. And usually when he's below 50%, that's about when his defense buff is falling off anyways. So unless you have a separate thing to give him a defense buff, which would be dumb, because he gives himself his own defense buff, then I don't know. He's great for the first 2 turns after using this because he's nice and tanky. Then this falls off. He's just sitting there kind of poking things with this, which he can't even take advantage of landing a defense break because he just hits him with the same ability again. So it's just whatever. That's what he needs. He needs to be able to use this more. The defense buff needs to get moved to this ability so that it just applies when he gets hit. And then I think he's viable. I still think the S1 would be kind of underwhelming. It just doesn't do enough. It doesn't do enough damage for him to really be a threat in between, like when this is off cooldown. So maybe add, when this crits, it reduces the cooldown of this by 1. And then you could run builds with like Prophetic, and then a crit build where you're critting with this. And then you can use this a lot more often, making him an AoE threat that actually does some damn damage, because right now he just kind of stands there. That's my issue with him. Then going down to like Clarissa here, she's a decent unit, but I think we could just all say bleeding sucks when it comes to PvP. And it kind of sucks in PvE too. We don't need bleeds anymore. They need to change bleed mechanic as a whole. I think every bleed stack should just give everything that's hitting it 3% more damage. So if you have like 5 bleed stacks on it, it's equivalent to a target. And and it can stack with target. I think that would just make this better. It would be kind of an indirect buff to Baiken. It would be a buff to Surin. It would be a buff to, Fat Cat. Units like that. I think they should just change bleed as a whole, and it would fix a lot of these bleed units that just don't really get used. It applies to him too, because he bleeds over here. I think they tried with this guy, but I think he's just kind of shite still. I don't know why they decided he needed to give a crit buff. I mean, it's cool, and it could be okay for PvE. Every time an enemy dies, that screams PvE. That doesn't really do much for you in PvP. It's a win more mechanic, and win more mechanics I don't like. So, dispelling all debuffs is really powerful, though. They could do something minute. Like, if this gave 10% CR, nothing crazy. Not 25, but like 10% CR every time this went off, I think he'd be good. And yet again, bleeding sucks. So I still think bleeding needs to get changed. But yeah, 10% CR on this. So if he's activating this, just gets a flat 10%. He'd kind of be like Tieria was, where you just boost your team. I think that might be decent for him. Just something like that, something simple. And then I think Maya is fine. Leo's fine. Shuri's fine. Lots is fine. Lots is really good now. I think Purgus is really good now. This chick, I love the way she looks. Like, I'm a sucker for, like, dark hair, blue eyes. I would love for her to actually be good. But the problem with Koli, her base speed is low as shit. Okay, this kind of unit, she wants to get into stealth as fast as possible, so I think she needs a speed special equipment. I think her kit's fine. The problem is she's too slow. But I did notice while looking into her kit, she gets stealth here. She gets stealth here, and then she can't get stealth anymore. Which is a problem. She needs to be able to reliably stay in stealth. So that's what I think the special equipment would need to do. It would need to keep her in stealth somehow after her first 2 hits. Right? That's what I think. I think she needs a speed special equipment, and she needs a way to stay in stealth after her first 2 turns. And then she's good. Then she's really good, actually. This might be a little overpowered if she can double attack from stealth all the time, but that makes her a very big threat that you need to get rid of somehow. And I think it puts her on par with some other assassin type units. So that's what I think she needs. She definitely needs speed, special equipment. She needs a way to stay in stealth after using these first 2 abilities. And then she's good. And I'm not talking about Wind Rider. Wind Rider sucks. You'd want to use like RNL or Dust Devil with her. And then, who's the last one? Like I said, buff bleeds. I think most of these units are in an okay spot. But this guy sucks ass, right? He sucks so bad. This doesn't do enough. I think change this unhealable to a defense break, and on critical hit, make it activate this. He's hard to debuff, and then he can smash somebody. It makes him somewhat viable. I think that's all he really needs. Decent attack. You know, he's kind of low everywhere else. Yeah. I would just say make this defense break and chain into this. And then you can use some, like Uber's Tooth Shenanigans where it procs twice on the defense break, which is pretty good. I think that's what he needs. And then he can become a decent fire bruiser, but the way he is now, he just sucks. The anti-debuff and the free attack buff is nice, right? So he'd be a self-sustaining unit. 2-turn defense break on a 3-turn cooldown, I think would be good. And then this sucks. 25% chance to burn. That's really low. Like, you could soul burn for 100%. But, like, the soul burn stays the same whether you have this increased effect chance or not. So, this could be 50, soul burn is still 100. This could be 25, soul burn is still 100. So you could, the soul burn doesn't change even with Mola in here. So I think that's just like bad character development right there, or whatever you want to call it. So yeah, these are all the units I'm going to cover for now. If you guys enjoyed this, let me know if you want me to do like 3 stars, 5 stars, you know, stuff like that. If I didn't cover a unit in here, I think it's okay the way it is. Rip Corvus, Mercedes, she's just a damager, like, and she's outclassed by other things, but she's the free unit you get at the beginning of the game, so I think she does what she needs to do for people, and then people just stop using her. But I think she's good already. Crozet's pretty good too, and the spot he is now. The ones I talked about are the ones I think I need some kind of help. Everything else I think is okay for a 4-star unit. Some are a little better than others, but that's fine. But yeah, like I said, like if you enjoyed, let me know if you want me to do more, like maybe underwhelming 5 stars, underwhelming 3 stars, ML4s, etc. Let me know. I'll turn this into a little mini series, and yeah. So yeah, like if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new. Make sure you let me know down in the comments, and you guys have a good one. Peace.